Thank you for joining us. This is Live with Miami's Community News. We've got some great guests today, and it's going to be a wonderful subject about health, about medicine, and about how we wind up getting diagnosed with some things that we have, either diagnosed that you've got something or maybe that you don't. So would you introduce yourselves?
Yes, hello, I'm Jevan Damadian from Phonar Corporation. We are the founder of the company Phonar, which was the first company ever put on the planet for the intention of making MRIs. We put the first 300 MRIs on the planet.
And we're going to get to this one sec. Go ahead.
Sorry.
That's all right. All right.
I'm Jennifer with Stand-up MRI. I'm the site director at our Coral Gables facility.
Okay. Cindi?
My name is Cindi Zarraluqui. I work for Stand-up, and I am a marketing sales director.
And that's Jevan with a J.
Jevan with a J, yes, sir.
Right. And the last name is
Damadian.
Damadian, like Canadian.
That's right.
Close enough. Pretty close. Your family's been involved with MRIs from the get-go. And it was your father, Professor Raymond, right, that created, tell me if I got it right, the first MRI.
Yes, sir.
That is like amazing, right? In the total of humanity, that you and they were blessed with the ability to do that. What is the function and the purpose of an MRI?
Well, the original intent of his in 1969 was to cure cancer, rid the world of cancer. And that was the whole reason for his discovery. And then taking his discovery and making the first machine to make the first human scan. And then from that to making the first company that made the first 300 scanners. And we've been in business over 50 years.
So how did he figure out that, put aside that he wanted to cure cancer, I grasp that concept, that this he could put together some device that had never been done before that would help him do that?
He was a medical doctor, and he went straight into research. He was a very smart kid. He just went to college when he was 15, and he became a doctor when he was 20. And he went straight into research. And started researching differences between cells. And the initial discovery really was the difference between normal tissue in a mouse and cancerous tissue in a mouse.
And, so
that led to everything.
And he and his team put this together that allowed us to go inside, when we talk about claustrophobia, go inside this tube,
right.
And all this stuff's going to happen. And
yes,
then there's going to be a visual that somebody could look at and go, hey, there's a problem here.
Yes. Right.
Which is really amazing. Mm-hmm. So, and since we brought up the issue of claustrophobia, I know that's a gigantic issue for people when they get enclosed, whatever type of machine it is. But one of the things you recognize is sometimes you just got to do it, mm-hmm. right?
Correct.
So tell us about in the business of this, how you keep your patients comfortable enough in their time of need where they're frightened out of their head, right? They're wondering if they got it, or whatever it is, right? So what do you do so that somebody says, okay, doc, I'll go get it done?
So one of the things that our techs are very knowledgeable in working with patients that have had, obviously, claustrophobia in a lay-down machine, like you said, such as a tube. So automatically the expectation is that the patient is going to need a lot more care, which we do provide, and we make sure that the patients, the minute you walk in, we ask you, what channel would you like to see? What would you like to watch while you're doing your upright MRI? You are in a sit-down position.
We're going to talk about that in a second. Sure. But if we could talk about this, the concept of this lay-down horizontal machine. Its function is, some people haven't had them. I fortunately or unfortunately have had quite a few, right? It shows, it's not quite an X-ray, but it does similar qualities in the sense that you can see inside the skin and be able to sort of slices it.
Right, slices of soft tissue. X-ray only really sees harder tissue, bones. It's more for bones and cartilage.
So 1969 to 71, your dad developed a machine. But at the same time, you and your family said, to deal with claustrophobia, can we develop another machine that does the same or similar or better, all right? And it's called a stand-up.
Right.
But you actually sit.
It's mostly seated. Yeah, right. It can stand. But
multiple
mostly
positions.
And so, and it's wide open.
Right. You're
It's like-
seated. You're seated like this, looking at a TV. You can see the ceiling. Look up
And
at the
what
sky.
caused you to think there was a market for that?
Oh, we had a lot of people with claustrophobic reactions. Firefighters, cops, soldiers. They can't lie down and go in the tunnel.
So
They're
the
terrified
reports
of
I've
it.
seen it say it's only 12%.
Really?
It's not. It's a much bigger
It's
number.
not only claustrophobia too.
Yeah.
Pardon me. You also have patients that had surgeries and they cannot lay down for
That's true, too.
a long period of time. So
We do have a video, all right, and somebody you know is in it, all right. Can we, Michelle? Can we go ahead and put that video up?
The story of MRI originates with
Yes, sir.
Dr. Raymond V. Damadian, whose fundamental scientific discovery in 1971 made MRI possible and has remained to this day the basis for every MRI picture or image ever made. He obtained the first patent in MRI, built the first MRI machine, which made the first MRI image, formed the first MRI company, battled with and prevailed against giants of the medical devices industry, and led the company in producing several generations of cutting-edge MRI.
It's amazing that the world has produced people like that. And just for clarity, in your family, somebody in your family worked with the Wright brothers.
My father's uncle, his mother's, his mother's brother was.
It's right?
They are impressive.
Isn't it
Impressive.
crazy?
No, I know.
And you're very humble, but I know
is.
that
He
you
is.
recognize the kind of changes that you and your family have made to the world. So my hat's off to you for doing that.
Thank you.
Let's
Very
talk about
kind.
the stand-up MRI. Put aside the claustrophobia issue or the uncomfortableness, whether it's because of the surgery or maybe not quite claustrophobic, but really uncomfortable. What are some of the advantages of the stand-up MRI?
Well, claustrophobia is one of the biggest ones. There's also weight-bearing aspect of it. Gravity matters on this planet, so when you're upright, your spine kind of
compressed.
pushes to compacts. It can cause herniations in your discs, which people get. That loses circulation or feeling in your legs. If it's up in your neck, there's CSF flow that's flowing through your brain, down your spine, back up. In the gravity, when you're upright, it makes a difference. It looks different than when you're laying down. And different pathologies are seen and diagnoses are
Because
made
this
by
is how we
that.
do most of our stuff.
Most of it,
Correct.
yeah. And liquids also in gravity tend to be different depending on where they.
So how did you and your family get selected in the universe, all right, to be the ones to invent and create it? How did that happen? Why wasn't there somebody else who's going, hey, we want to do that? How
I
come
don't
you?
know. It wasn't us. It was him. It was my father. He's really the one that
I'm baffled. All right.
brought this all together.
Yes.
So, Jennifer, so tell us again on as far as patients, how you get the patient who's uncomfortable. I don't know anybody say, oh, let me just jump in. All right? Do I have this right in case you haven't been? Is it right here? Right here. You're all the way in. You can't have your arms like this. You got to have them like this,
Right.
and don't move.
Right.
Right. And you can't get out.
And you can't get. And if
Right.
you fall asleep, what happens? I'm sorry, and you jerk.
Right.
Yeah.
And you fall asleep. all
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coughing.
Happens a lot. You don't realize how boring it gets when you're just listening to silence. So the one good thing is what I told you. As soon as you walk in, we ask you, what channel would you like to watch? We try to make you feel very comfortable. The one thing about our stand-up unit is that it does tilt back like a recliner. So if you do fall asleep, chances are that even when you jerk, the padding is going to prevent a lot
So
of
when they
that
come, do
motion.
you ask them, are you claustrophobic?
We do. We ask, are you claustrophobic? And if not, then because we have a wide board MRI, which is our lay down that accommodates patients 550 pounds, we can accommodate you laying down and knock down the scan time. So we can actually perform scans in 15 minutes or less. So what can you do in 15 minutes?
The ultimate goal with MRI is to get it as close to a camera click as possible, but we're not there yet.
But I'm sure we will.
The faster we go, the better.
We
That's
also
amazing,
Yeah.
isn't it?
we also implemented AI.
Right,
in
that's a huge
in our
thing
stand-up MRI,
in
which
this effort.
it's
Go faster.
artificial intelligence.
Right.
And
So-
its function is on that to do what?
Go faster, better
Better imaging.
resolution, and better imaging. Because nobody wants to be sitting down for more than 5-10 minutes.
What you guys
Right.
do is way above cutting edge.
Right.
This is like by the time us regular folks get to it, it's like, huh? How do they do that? Right.
Correct.
So let's talk about some success stories that you've had with the stand-up MRI that you're particularly proud of.
Well, I would say, especially for our patients that have back injuries, like he said, patients that have had prior surgeries, laying down is extremely uncomfortable. When they're sitting down almost in a recliner, because we do put enough padding for you, you are able to get the exam completed and you walk away with results, which
So
is what
there-
you're
A lot of
trying
people
to.
have stuff with their spine, whether it's arthritis or spurs or whatever it is, or broken or
Anything,
stuff.
right.
And when they try to lie down, I personally know that is like,
Right.
oh my goodness. right?
Especially getting up from laying down.
Yeah.
That's when you,
Hold on to me.
right.
Jen, how about also tumors, like patients that are not
absolutely.
able?
We're able to do so many things on the stand-up unit. So it's not just spines. We do a lot of brains. We do knees. We do shoulders. We do tons of
So
shoulders.
is there something in particular with the stand-up, its capability that are slightly different than the lay-down one?
Absolutely. We're the only ones that could do flexion and extension while you're
Correct.
doing an MRI. So what that means is that as you are in a seated position, we will image your cervical spine, meaning your neck, leaning forward, leaning backwards
Oh, no
to
kidding.
see, right, and we do that on,
And you can't do it when you're like that.
correct. Yeah.
Also, the other thing is there's getting a lot of attention now with this CSF flow, because if it's blocked from going up and down, back down the spine and the brain, it causes blockages in your brain that create lesions like multiple sclerosis, ALS, Alzheimer's, and even possibly childhood autism. Like if you had a violent birth, it can be from that. And those things are now being studied and finding some good progress with.
Let's talk about the difference between a CAT scan and an MRI, because sometimes we get confused with
Correct.
that. Who would
Sure.
like to answer that?
I can answer.
Okay.
A CAT scanner is basically an X-ray that makes slices through the body, but it's very it can't really differentiate between the tissues as well as MRI. MRI is a much more contrast, and it gets a much more detailed signals of the body.
So when the
So it's
doctor or-
much more
when the doctor-
accurate.
When he's wondering what's going on, is there a progression of those tests, or do they just go, no, we're just going to the MRI?
It used to be that everybody would get a CAT scan first, but now
Health
as
insurance.
things get cheaper and slower, or faster, and when they get faster, they get cheaper. So now MRI is becoming much more the go-to test that comes first.
As far as getting
Used to be much longer, but now it's getting
the
fast.
results, are they machines that were made 15 years ago? Are the results of the new machines, is this significantly better as far as
Oh, yeah.
readability?
Yes.
Okay.
And again, with the artificial intelligence, it's
Day and night. like you
it's
see.
revolutionizing
Okay, Mr. Future.
MRI.
So what is going to be so different in 20 years on those machines?
Well, I think you're going to be getting down to the speed with an MRI where you can do it in a camera click, just like that, and the images will pop up.
We have this
What
recorded
is it
when
like
we see
working with
this.
somebody like this?
It's impressive. And like you
is,
see,
it is.
he is such a humble wealth of knowledge. Like, it's impressive.
One of the things that I've recognized is that we say people are humble. He just is him.
Yeah.
It's just
Correct.
the way it is. Okay, so we know when with the stand-up you can move around, right? And
You could do a
that.
flexion and extension.
That's a big deal.
Yes.
Because otherwise it's just a stationary
Correct.
thing.
So just like Jevan was telling you, because of the CFS flow, sometimes with deflection and extension, you're seeing if there is something that's impinging.
Right,
And so-
blockages.
Right.
And
that's the
And
reason
you can
why.
do
Spinal
that
canal.
by when
Yes,
you,
sir.
Right.
Just like with your back, any part of your back would be the same thing.
So, as far as if there's a problem with blood flow, can that detect that?
Yeah. So CSF is blood. It's the blood inside the central nervous system. It's the same stuff. It pumps up and down just like the rest of the blood in the rest of the system in your body, but it's a different color. It's clear. But otherwise, it's blood. I mean, it's a fluid that washes out the nutrients, brings them down your spine, back up. It's the communication system of the central nervous system.
So, how important it is for a patient to be able to ask the MRI people, how old is that machine?
You do.
I mean, do you
Some
want something that was made 20 years ago? You say, no, I don't want some. I want something that is much newer.
Well, I mean, our machines are, we've been doing the stand-ups for about 20 years now. Most of the magnets are, they're fine, but the software and all the, the electronics get updated constantly.
Which
So
there's other places that also say they're open MRI. And correct me if I'm wrong, but they're not as open as they say.
right, yeah, they're not.
So recently I had a PET scan of my heart, and the week before a CAT scan here. And so when he tells me you need to get whatever it was, I go, is that one of those tubes? Well, it really wasn't. It was only this wide.
Yeah.
right?
You
Or
go in and
maybe
out
this
fast.
wide. It was like, whew. That's when I looked it up. I'm going, it ain't 12%. It's a lot more than that. But how many people?
much
I'm
higher.
claustrophobia. I don't think that anybody's like eager to jump there. But approximately how many MRIs are done a year in the United States?
Oh, in the United States, that's a good question.
All right.
I can tell you that what I do know is that there's about 30,000 MRIs in the world now. I'd say probably 20,000 of them are in the U.S. That's a guess, but I would say pretty close.
I saw some figures of 40 million. So I don't know if that was in the United States or around the country, but it's a substantial number of a diagnostic tool, which is really effective in figuring out, hey, you got a problem, and this is where it is, and let's get to it and take care of it. And give us an idea, if you would, on the horizontal MRIs and the vertical. What is the price? Not the cost, because I know that if somebody was in that business, they're going to go buy one from somebody. How much would a relatively new MRI horizontal machine cost?
Right around $1 million, 1.5 maybe, something like that.
By the way, online it says it's 100 to 400,000. I go, I don't think so.
Not for a new one.
Maybe a part of it.
Old, 20 years old.
And so
maybe.
and I'm trying to put this in perspective. You've made these machines, and you're also on the retail end and treating, diagnosing and performing the service.
Yes.
And doctors say, hey, listen, patient, you need to get an MRI. And then sometimes the doctors direct it, or because if I had to pick a place, it'd be like, I don't know, throw a dart,
Right.
and go, should I go to this one, go to this one? But what should somebody look for when the doctor says you need to get an MRI? And there's several places to go. What should a educated patient, consumer, ask themselves before they select where they're going to go? Or do people just go, they do it, I'm going?
Well, so I would recommend that you go to Miami because these people, I've seen them operate and they really do care.
Right.
We as a company, we've been doing this for over half a century. We're just MRI almost entirely. And we like what we do and we've been doing it for a long time.
So again, tell us, on the patient, they call you on the phone, they say, I'd like to schedule an appointment.
Correct.
And then what's their next step? What do they do?
So two things. It's all cost driven. So based off of their insurance, are we a provider? And what would be our self-pay price if they have no insurance? So we are very competitive with that. We are on every health insurance plan, and we will always try to go and match dollar for dollar if they were quoted something else somewhere else.
So as a patient, many times, what I want to do, I want to do the test, and I want to get fast, and then I want to go back to the doctor. I don't want to be like 3 weeks later wondering, because that's almost as painful,
Correct.
right?
Right.
As hearing it from the doctor.
Right.
So what can you do? The guy calls you up or lady, I need this. So what's the time frame in which you can get somebody in, more or less?
Well, we're open 7 days a week.
Oh,
So we're
That
open
works.
from 6 a.m. to 11 o'clock at
Where are
night
you?
in Coral Gables
all right. So in Coral Gables, 6 a.m. to what?
to 11 p.m.
That's all the time, 7 days a week.
7 days a week.
I know you take care of your patients
Yeah.
just by virtue of that.
Yeah. So we make sure that when you leave, you're leaving with a Pocket Health, which is a website where you're going to have a temporary login and password instantly to look at your images yourself. So if you have a friend, a family, somebody
That's
that's in the
amazing.
medical field can help you ease your anxiety of, hey, do I have a tear in my knee or not? So we do make sure that our patients are leaving with some kind of peace.
And how long you been open all week long and all day and all night?
Well, we were very blessed that even with COVID, we stayed open.
Good for you.
Yeah,
I remember when we used to
did.
be open till 2 in the morning.
Yeah, we did.
There was a point.
Yeah, there was a point pre-COVID that our last scan was at 1 in the morning, and we would just shut down for 4 or 5 hours, and that was it. So we are very blessed to have that.
And so when you do the test there and you send it to
The radiologist?
the radiologist, he reads it,
Yes.
and then it's available on the website.
Yes, as soon as the report is available, it loads automatically into Pocket Health. So the patient, when they go to their doctor's office, they already have it on their phone, the website, or they have the paper to give it to the physician. Part of Cindy's job, along with the marketing staff, is to also make sure that the doctors do have access to our portals and to our images as well. So sometimes you might visit a doctor that already has access to all of that.
It must be music to your ears when you hear that there are providers out there that are taking care of people.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yes, and this one's top notch. If you time it just right, too, if you get
Be a
there on a
soup
certain day, she's cooking soup for the staff. I mean, they love her.
So
And
one
that's
of
really
the good
important.
things,
Like, we're all patients from day one, right? I mean, so when you have somebody like that instills that in their staff, you get really good staff, and that's why
we work hard because we love
we
what
like
we
what we
do.
do.
Correct.
Yeah.
So when patients walk in, you know that whether they demonstrate or not, you know they're nervous.
For sure.
You know they're thinking, am I gonna get diagnosis that I do not want to hear?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they're probably not at the worst place, but not a good place at that moment.
Right.
But when they get done with the MRI, are they a little bit happier that it's over?
A lot. You'd
lot
be
of-
surprised how many patients are like, "Oh my God, thank you so much. You helped me get through it." I wasn't expecting, or the opposite. I have some patients that are like, "I was just starting to nap. It's over." So you really do have, the best of both worlds, like he said, because of our 2 scanners that we do. And to touch along with what he was telling you about my staff, the one thing that we make sure is that we understand that who we are seeing and who we are treating today, though you might be very short, very loud, maybe you're very scared, you're crying, my staff understands that. They know that we are here to help you just get your exam so that you can have some peace.
And so when you get guys who think they have a lot of testosterone, they can go
Oh,
to
it
battle.
doesn't matter.
and you
It
go-
doesn't matter.
I go, oh,
We're in the scanner with you. We're holding your
Yes.
foot. We're holding your
I
ankle.
wanted to
We're
share.
talking to you. Like, we're coaching you right through it.
back to your brilliant family. That includes you in that. When you hear stories like this, it must make you proud that you were like, how this happened.
I'm very proud to have
Very
these
proud.
2. Yeah,
So
and there's a lot. We have a good
Huge
great
team.
with
Okay.
us.
you have children.
Yes,
How old are they?
I have a daughter who's 14 and a son who's 24 and another daughter who's 21.
Any interest in participating in your arena?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
On that, he smiles. There you go.
That's
Okay,
cool.
Pop, you got it.
I would also
Good
like
for you.
to share that not only adults get MRIs, we also have children that either do the MRI on the stand-up as well as the 3T.
Right.
So you bring up an interesting point. Adults sort of can try to stay composed, but you have these little kids. What can you do to comfort them?
In the stand-up, we put them in a baby car seat, plastic, which is not magnetic. Get them sleeping, and we put them right in the gap, and the mother's right there holding them still, and no anesthesia. Which if they put them in the tunnel, they have to anesthetize them, and that's dangerous too for babies. So that's a really good application for the stand-up also.
That's amazing, right? And I'm sure you hear a lot, you do a lot of sports injuries.
We do.
Knee,
lot.
elbow.
Especially in South Florida.
Yeah.
We do. And again, we are able to provide you less than 30 minutes a scan
Has
of your.
pickleball been very good for business?
Not yet. The electric scooter was.
Yes. So I used to run marathons, and it'd be like, okay, I go to the first doctor. He says, Michael, you could take up another sport. You could do bicycle. I said, no. He says, okay, I'll see you later. He said, if you're going to keep pounding, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true.
And so, of course, I didn't listen to him, but that's the way it works.
So you're not claustrophobic.
No, no, I deal with it in my own unique way. So, and so we have young babies. You know how to take care of them.
We
you
do.
have a lot of teenagers and young adults going with sports injuries, car accidents.
Correct. Yes, a lot
Sure.
of car accidents. We also, at our Coral Gables facility, we run 132 clinical trials for clinical research. So we do work a lot in research. So that's another thing that, again, my staff goes to learn and go above and beyond.
So often people think, oh, look at this product. It's out. Look, it's here today.
Yeah.
I said, people have been working on it for 10 years, a whole team of
Yep.
people to get that, to bring it to the market.
It is.
So on the stand-up, you had a whole team that put that together.
Yeah.
What was that like when you said, okay, we are ready? And we got 5 minutes left. So what was that like? You said, okay, we're ready for a place to start using it on a regular basis. When you said it works, what was that like for you?
Oh, fantastic. And I was an engineer at the time, so I was part of the design group that put together the system, and finally got it ready, and got ready to sell it and get it out in the field. And we sold about 400 of them, got them all out, delivered, and put in place. And then we
Just
opened our
400.
own. Then we opened our own centers too, about 30 of them, so that we could, bring it directly to the patient as well.
In New York,
wonderful.
correct?
And thank you for being here. It was really quite an honor to meet somebody that,
Thank you.
I'm telling you, he's
Thanks for
such
having
a
me.
cool guy.
and you should come back, right?
Really?
Absolutely.
You were invited back.
You,
I didn't get kicked once either.
Exactly. You
I was
did
gonna get kicked.
beautiful. Beautiful.
So one day, that if you look down the road, the things you haven't even thought about, but will, all right? And then maybe in 5 or 10 years, we're going to see that. And I'm saying, you know what? I think I met this guy back in 2024.
play that video.
So we look forward to you and your team inventing neat stuff so lovely people like this can serve us as patients and as people.
One more thing.
Yes, sir.
Cancer screening is now a reality, and we're starting to get involved in that. You can get scanned from head to toe in about 30 minutes, and it can detect a tumor the size of a pea, which is 99% curable with minimally invasive surgery. And so there is a chance that you will not need to die of cancer anymore. You can die of anything
that
else,
type
not
of
cancer.
thing, all right?
Oh,
is
that
what
gave me
chills.
I know.
It motivates you. Hey, here's what we're inventing. Just go do this thing because you never know. I might add, when I've had stuff done, they found stuff that they weren't looking for,
right.
but that was a byproduct
Yep.
of that,
Correct.
which, we didn't know.
Yeah, it's starting to become a reality, and we're very excited about that too.
Well, when I go get it, whenever it is, I'm going to be thanking you guys. Thank
There
you
you go.
so much for being here.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you.
Thank you for your
Don,
Yes,
it
thank
was great
you.
to meet
Thank
you.
you very much.
And thank you for making us feel so comfortable.
You're very good at
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Look over the red camera. Again, folks, thank you for watching. And you do need to get an MRI because it could save your life. Folks, have a great day. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.